if we're not filling our own cup in every area of our life, or in the areas that matter, in the areas that truly matter to us, that is what is most bringing us out of integrity with ourselves. So the more we really look into our values and our priorities, I ask these questions at the beginning because a lot of the times we spend all this time on these like frou-frou rituals and we don't really get to like the heart of the matter, which is your values, your priorities. How do you want to spend your time? So one thing that's really blown my mind, the more I do like this visioning work and this visioning process, is really honing in on, do I value my values? Do I honor my priorities? Do I have them in my daily life? And if I don't, why? Because that is what is most important to me. That naturally puts us into a state of alignment, and that will honestly be the anchor that you truly need to know what you truly want. So I say that with honesty because it can be really easy to have values where you aren't really truly honing in on what you want. So when we look at our values, we have to look at what is most important to us in our day-to-day life. So when I say values, what I'm really talking about is what is the most potent and important aspects of your life. Like, what do you truly value? So I'll just give you a couple of mine. So over the years, it's been community, family, impact, service, really honing in on my self-care, making sure I'm operating from a full cup. That's one of my top values all the time. And making sure that I have that element of alignment in my life. So those are some of my personal values. So when we talk about values, this is like, it's more than just like, I want X, Y, and Z because of this. It's about really honing in on, do you value how you are setting your priorities in life? So for instance, one of my values was to grow my business. And I realized like a few years ago, I wasn't really honoring that at all. And what I was doing is I was often putting that on the back burner. I was putting all this other stuff before that. And it really started affecting how I was showing up, because if one of my values is business growth, but I'm not honoring that within myself and in my day-to-day life, that starts to tear away at you, and you'll start to notice changes in how you are showing up. So when it comes to really understanding your values, I want you to think about, where do you feel that you're out of alignment with your priorities and your values for your life? Because this is just it. A lot of the times we think that we have a procrastination issue. We think that we're just too scared to do it. We think that we have too much resistance to really go for it. And what I've really learned is, more times than not, what we actually have is either a time management issue, a priority issue, or a value issue. Because if you're out of alignment with your values and you're not honoring your priorities, more times than not, you're in an integrity breach with yourself. And what I mean by that is, if you're out of integrity with yourself, you're out of alignment with yourself. So I ask you these questions in the beginning before we get started, because it's a critical piece of the manifestation puzzle. It's like one of those kind of secret ingredients that a lot of people don't talk about, is understanding your desires and your values, because that will show you the easiest way for you to personally get into alignment, is through understanding your values. And the second reason I said priorities is because a lot of the times we're like, well, I have this as a priority, and I have my art as a priority, and I have this like creative side job as a priority. But then you go to ask yourself, how many times a week do I do this? And it's like once, maybe once a month. And then you realize, oh, I'm not really actually honoring my priorities. So I think when we go into goal setting and intention setting and really asking ourselves what we truly want, we have to hone in on these things for one reason, and that's our personal alignment and well-being. So there's something that's really powerful when we start to honor our priorities and our values. We start to really have this well-balanced ecosystem in our lives. And we can start to feel that in how we're showing up. And as the more we really, one thing I want to say, and this just came to me, is we have to realize that we have to put first things first. And this is something I learned like a long time ago. And it's about asking yourself, do you meet your own personal soul needs? Do you meet those soul needs in a way where you are thriving so you can show up with a full cup to serve others? And normally we only think about this in terms of self-care, but that's just it. Is if we're only thinking about it as self-care, we have to see that when we show up, self-care isn't just, bubble baths and reading books and manicures. It's about, are you filling your soul nourishment, your soul cup? And if you're not, then that's drastically what is taking you out of alignment. So where I'm going with this is basically, if we're not filling our own cup in every area of our life, or in the areas that matter, in the areas that truly matter to us, that is what is most bringing us out of integrity with ourselves. And that is the easiest way to get back in alignment, is to know that you can honor yourself enough to focus on those priorities first. And I remember there was this quote I read. I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's basically, you can spend all day cleaning and forget to do what you love, or you can do what you love and then do the rest. And that's just it, is we have to really ask ourselves, the cleaning and whatever else is on your plate, yeah, that needs done, but are you doing what truly makes you happy? Are you taking time out of your day to do what actually puts your soul on fire? Or are you only allowing yourself to do what you have to do? And I don't mean like work and like stuff like that and taking care of kids. I mean, I know those are all like essential things, but I'm talking about, do you actively take time to do what you love to do on a consistent basis? And are you honoring those priorities? Because that is drastically what can be an energy leak for many people. And it's what doesn't light our soul on fire that is creating terrible boundaries with what we truly want. So I hope that makes sense. But what I'm really trying to get at with this is realizing that when we put our priorities first, we can show up in a totally different lens, in some things that are just like normally would have been difficult suddenly become much easier, because now we're in a place of our natural alignment. So have fun with this process. If you have any questions, please ask them below or reach out to me personally. Have fun.